fun stuff. Like you're in trouble because both teams wanted to play and you kept playing.
Basically, I wasn't there, so yes.
and we self-reported that. Is that correct?
That is correct.
It's better to
I think officially Mogollon reported it, but we were working with them on getting it reported together.
What's the time limit?
When the ref walked off the field.
That's what it is. Technically, I think it's an hour and a half, and they left at an hour. And
It's supposed to be 2.
is it 2 hours?
It's supposed to be 2
So
hours.
the refs left early.
They left early, but whether that's right or wrong is not up for debate. I guess it's once they leave, we can't continue to play another team without refs there, and
You said it was a scrimmage once they left.
only get one scrimmage, and it has to
Did
be the start of the year.
can't be with another team.
Did that part of it get reported as part of the report?
Yeah.
I do know that Mr. Hutchins talked with the head of the referees in the area. I don't think it was ever officially written reported to the AIA. No.
If we get a chance to put it in our report, I think we should, that they left a little bit early. Just mention it. If they have any more written reports they want from us or whatever.
But I agree, that doesn't give us the right to.
We got to follow the rules, even if it didn't work out how it should have. So.
Yeah.
Well, when you glance through it and you see AIA, Joseph City, and Mogollon, I thought it was going to be something serious.
It is.
Not you got along too long together. You played a little more than you should have. The street lights were out. You guys should have went home.
Now, unless there's any questions, the one other thing I wanted to bring up to the board is that some of the improvements and upgrades they've had with artificial intelligence that have gone mainstream now. So we're trying to stay on top of that the best we can and use it to our advantage. I don't think there's any stopping it. I think we need to use it, and that's my last bullet point in my report. So we're looking at those programs and how we can utilize them to help us with instruction. In some ways, it may scare teachers because it could give an opportunity for students maybe to plagiarize more or do less research. But in other ways, it could increase some things for us, like creative thinking, and it could help the teachers go deeper into lessons and things. Like, I don't know if you've heard of ChatGPT, GPT. So that it's like Google, but it kind of compiles the information for you. And you ask it a question. If you ask it to write something for you, it'll write something for you. It's a language program. So like you want it to write the old book reports and things, so a student could have that done for them, and it'd be hard for us to trace out on plagiarism. But there's other things we can do to maintain creative and critical thinking in the classroom, and that's what we're focusing on. We've been talking about that. So the world's changing fast with this artificial intelligence. But if you have any questions anywhere on my report, please feel free to ask. And so we have a financial summary as part of my report, and then the test scores.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Fields. Anybody have any questions? Okay, let's move on. Call to the public.
None.
Nobody signed up? All right. Saves me a lot of reading. Let's go to consent agenda items. I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items as listed. They are all under number 3. So it's 3A through 3 what? Oh.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions on what's in there?
I'd like this ATS donation for the national business, whatever. Did that almost put them? Because I remember last we talked, they were a little bit behind as far as having enough funding to go to their nationals. Just put them back to where they're in the good.
Well, they're still, last I checked, about $3,000 short. But I will follow up on that.
I mean, it's just a good jump in the right direction.
Yeah, that was very nice of,
I just like to see them still pushing to pay off, even though they already got the go-ahead. We appreciate that. A lot of times, once you give somebody an okay, they never follow through on anything else.
I'd like them to follow up with you guys on how they perform there as well, so that would be good. I think we can do that at the July meeting. So thank you for that, yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, call for the vote. Kat? Andrew?
Yes.
Karsten?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Dayton? Okay, that brings us down to action items 5A. I'll make a motion that we approve the personnel request as listed, with a reminder that we removed Samuel Larson off that list.
I'll second.
Any discussion or questions needed there? All right, Andrew?
Yes.
Kirsten?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Yes.
Dayton? And Kat?
Yes.
All right. Brings us to 5C. I'll make the motion that we, because this is the second reading of these, right?
Correct.
I'll make the motion that we approve the changes to governing board policy as listed.
I'll second.
If I could just remind the board, these are about making sure that committee meetings to examine curriculum are all open to the public. So it's not like we close that down. It's like an open meeting for the public. I can't preclude them from meetings.
These are all suggested by the ASBA to keep us in
Yeah.
line with laws and such.
Yeah, they passed some laws that have required us to include input from the public if they want to have it.
Any discussion needed? Where do you, Karsten?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Dayton? Kat?
Yes.
Yes. Andrew, thank you. Brings us to 5C. I'll make a motion that we approve textbook and curriculum adoption.
I'll second.
So this is lower level curriculum. Mr. Mosier and his staff, he has a committee that's been working on this. It has to do with the science of reading and new improvements that align with the standards. So part of it's a requirement, but part of it's just an update. Mr. Mosier, is there anything you'd like to add about this curriculum? We looked at it last month.
It's something needed. Teachers are training on it right now and have been. It'll be a good addition.
Was there any parents that, or community members that came in and looked at the books just out of curiosity? Was it? Good. I'm happy because I didn't.
Okay. Guess I'm first. Yes. Dayton? Yes. Kat?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
All right. Brings us to number 5D. Make a motion that we approve the proposed FY 2023-24 budget.
Second.
Discussion, is there anything?
So this is, a lot of it's based on numbers from last year at this point, but the forms for all the formulas and the count is included in your backup. So that's what that is. You can see the front page has a lot of that information. We will update the budget proceed throughout the year, and as our enrollment fluctuates a little bit, that's what it is. If you look on the first page, you can see a basic summary of it. feel free to take your time on this. It's a lot of money and a lot of information. To jump in, or you want to? Maybe we should talk first and see what they want to know. So last month, this was not approved. The changes with this plan compared to the one that we had last month would be we've asked for them to remove BIC as part of the plan for the high school and junior high campus. So it would be grab and go. And there'll be a savings from that, they predict, from a lot of the milk was costing us a lot of money. So it actually helped with the cost. So I'm glad the governing board caught that and everything. But and we've asked them to increase the food cost, the lunch price for students that pay to help, and to increase the quality in the breakfast and the lunch. And that's what we're expecting. And the new contract reflects all this. So, but I know you guys may have some questions about, the logistics and all that. So that was our recommendation with this contract. Now, just because we approve this contract doesn't mean we can't change anything. Like if we started with BIC at the elementary, we could change it halfway through the year or whenever. The board could give us a directive of what to do tonight even. So, that's all open. Don't feel like it's not But there are reasons, you know, the recommendation is like it is. But are there any questions on the food service?
What do you think, you said you had some numbers, what do you think we'll be saving by doing it at the high school?
Let me pull it up because they just updated some things here. See if I can do this.
Well, from last month's contract to this month's contract, we're at $5,000 something different. Yeah. 5,249. So however that plays out.
Last month's contract also had a percentage of increase in the reimbursement rate, guessing that the federal government would increase the reimbursement rate. This contract that you have today does not assume that, so we're not trying to put money that we don't know we're gonna have in our pocket, because right now the rates are higher than they usually are, so there's a chance they might not increase it at all. So this includes zero increase, so if there is an increase, that's more money in the bank.
Okay.
So is that the 5,000? What if we did the same thing at the elementary?
So we looked a little bit closer because I had a heads up on this, and Steve met with John, and it looks like it won't save us a whole lot either way. So from what Steve told me verbally, it was pretty much a wash. If we do it in the change would be we served like 20,000 meals at the elementary this last year, and the prediction would be that would probably be cut in half. We wouldn't serve as many meals to the students, so that's the main difference.
Wouldn't serve as many meals, but our labor would go down too.
It would actually go up a little bit because.
Well, I guess it would because we're paying a third party to do it instead of paying the teacher to do it.
Yeah.
Because breakfast in a classroom, that 15, 30 minutes is taken out of instructional time, and we're having each teacher do that labor instead of the service.
Well, the increase is actually, it takes more, it takes another person to serve the breakfast in the cafeteria so it takes more labor to serve it in the cafeteria versus sending it to the.
Yeah, so it's cafeteria labor instead of trained teacher labor.
Right, but it's an additional cost, whereas that way.
How many employees does it take right now to haul the stuff to the classroom?
One.
And so how many employees are you going to have it in a cafeteria?
Probably 3.
At least 2, one to run the register, and one to serve the meals, because you have to record the meals.
So why would you need a register in the cafeteria if you didn't need it in the classroom?
Because the teachers themselves put the meals into the computer system and accounted for the meals. So
Well, not necessarily a register. It's you say register, I'm thinking you're pulling money in.
Yeah, they did it through Infinite Campus. We'd be using a physical POS device in the cafeteria if we went to the cafeteria method.
So you got a cafeteria method, but we have like a grab and go option there too. So two different things. The logistics for grab and go, I don't know exactly what they would look like at the elementary, but that's different. But that's another, right?
What's it going to look like at the high school?
Like it's set up at the lobby and kids could come by and grab it.
An aide, the secretary, somebody that we're already paying?
I don't know, we never discussed that.
So we'd have one employee for SFD that's there, and the kids would grab and then come to the register, and we'd only need one employee to do the register because the kids would be grabbing their own breakfast and getting their reimbursable meal. And if by some chance they didn't grab a reimbursable meal, then the register person would let them know they need to go back and get an apple or go back and get half a cup of fruit, and that way it only requires one person. That works okay at the secondary level. At the elementary level, the kids don't have loud voices. Some of them don't know their names. Some of them
They don't know their numbers. They don't know their ID number.
Yeah, but I mean, like getting a kindergarten kid to speak up loud enough that you can catch their name is a difficult thing to back.
So when they go into the classroom, you record what kid eats what meal? Or is it just?
We record if a kid took a meal.
So if a could. So help me with my brainwave. If we have 25 sack lunches out here and 24 of them disappear, we can just enter computer 24. If you have 100 juices and there 100 disappear, wouldn't that mean that 100 people ate?
Unless somebody took.
And so do we really have to have somebody sitting there counting when we can just put it in a bag and say, at the end of the day, you count the bags, this is how many's left over. We had 100 granola bars, why count each kid, count the leftover granola bars?
We have to have a name to associate to every child. We have to know.
So then, back to my original question, each kid each one has to go to a name.
Yes, the teacher assigns them to a name in the computer system.
When we go into the computer, we log in and we have our class list and we check yes or no if they had a breakfast or if they did not. So there is a name assigned to every breakfast. Yes.
Okay, sorry, I got confused.
Not 100% if my child was charged when my children don't speak.
Nobody gets charged for breakfast in the classroom, though. Those are all free.
And that's why I was wondering why,
Oh, you're saying they got marked?
Yeah.
That's-
Well,
why do you,
there's a fee associated with Braden's name.
and so this is a federal thing, you have to turn in what kid ate what, or where does that information go? So
Yeah,
if my kid eats lunch, and I'm gonna take this a little drastic, but get over it, the Biden administration can look it up and know that my kid ate breakfast here?
No, we don't send names to the state.
So,
Then we
Now,
have,
back to the original question, if we don't send names, why are we keeping them?
you have to know who's free and reduced and who's not.
But for breakfast,
You'd have to know that too.
but isn't everybody free at breakfast?
but we only get reimbursed for whatever category they fall under. So if it's a paid kid, we get 50 cents. If it's a reduced kid, we get $2.37. If it's a free kid, we get $2.67. And that's determined based off their status, how much the district gives them reimbursement.
But they're all getting it for free.
Right.
Yes.
It's just who pays for it, the feds or the state or the district pays for it. That's the difference. Okay, so sorry, that cleared it up, because I'm like, why do you need a number if they don't get the number? Don't they all have badges? I know this is next to impossible to make the elementary do if they were to swipe their badge.
They do it for lunch. They do swipe their badges at lunch. But at breakfast,
By definition, the registered person is also the end-all of making sure that the meal that that child is taking meets the requirements to be reimbursable. So that's the other reason. If I serve somebody and they walk off and they don't get a fruit or a vegetable, that technically doesn't count. So you need that registered person to be the end-all.
Well, if they take a bag, because that's what they're gonna be in, correct?
It depends if we're going
Could be
cafeteria or grab and go. So the requirements for a full reimbursable meal, just to clarify, John, is different for the cafeteria or grab and go program.
So for breakfast, it is required that they take 3 items. Most entrees that I offer count as 2 items. So that means they still need 1 more item. They need a half a cup of fruit. They don't need the milk. They just need either a fruit cup or an apple. They need a half a cup of fruit on top of one of the entrees that I have on the menu.
But you don't make sure they eat it.
I don't have.
that's impossible.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. But what I'm getting at is, why can't we put it in a lunch? Why can't we put it in a bag? They took it. What happens is out of our control. If the bag has the required lunch in there, or required breakfast, they pick up the bag, it has the 3 different styles of sugars in it, and they take it with them. Isn't that a checkoff? So then that takes care of that part of it. Now we're just saying, how do we label who? Which is probably not a politically correct way to lay it. But, so it's like the checkoff of this kid is free, this kid isn't, this kid is what, correct?
But
I'm just trying to simplify it to save us money.
part of your expectation as hiring a food service management company is you have the expectation that I'm going to increase participation at your schools. Kids eat with their eyes. If there's a white grocery bag sitting on a counter, they're not going to know what's inside.
Put a big M on the front of it, they'll think it's McDonald's, it'll go.
So I need to be able to display the food in a manner that it attracts the children to eat. It makes them want to try stuff that they've never had before. Because if it's just a bag, I mean, they don't know what's inside. They don't know if they want it or not.
Maybe a clear bag? I'm kidding. When he asked questions.
Maybe, could you have something like what's in the bag, a little display of it so they can see
I mean,
what's in
it's still not that yet. It still doesn't, it's not as appetizing as seeing a full pan of spaghetti or a full, I mean, if they walk in and they see, you know, and smell the food, I mean,
Well, we're talking about breakfast in the bag,
Yeah.
right? Not a lunch.
okay.
I mean, that's why we gotta
Not yet.
do it.
I mean, but I'm still, at the high school, I'll probably have it on display, like where they can see the smoothie, where they can see the yogurt parfait. So it's not all, I mean, that way they grab it and they go to the register and they get to see what they're picking versus it being stuck in a bag.
I'll tell you straight up, I have two issues with it. One is the cost. I mean, we were paying, that's a full teacher salary and what we're saying we're not gonna lose, plus. And the second thing is I don't think it belongs in the classroom. I've talked to various teachers and it isn't really necessarily a benefit for instructional purposes to have it in the classroom. It actually detracts from instruction. And if we could get it out of the classroom back into the building that was built for it, I think that would give the teachers maybe a little more time to be a teacher and less time to be a caretaker. So those are my two issues. One, I don't think it belongs in a classroom. And second, $53,000 or whatever.
And I would tell you that $53,000 is a hard number to swallow, I get. 22-23 school year, in my 10 years of doing school first food service, has been the most hardest year yet. With inflation, with minimum wage going up, with supply chain, we've had struggles that I have never had in 10 years of doing this. I did the math, I looked at over the contract since 2016, on average, the district's lost in food service is about $29,000, not $53,000. But I know that this year's been my hardest, and I can't just go like McDonald's and increase the cost by $4 or $5. I only can charge what they tell me I can charge. So in doing so, I have lost more money this year than I have in the past. But even with this year included since 2016, it's seriously only a $29,000 average loss over those 6 years. Every time I come to this meeting, I tell you guys that number is that number. I see it. I get it. But I'm going to do all that I can to ensure that number doesn't happen. I mean, even like to this point that we didn't know we were going to be able to do summer food bags. And instead of me going, I can lose $53,000, I said, hey, let's take on these summer food bags and let's get the reimbursement for the district so that number looks better. I'm going to jump on any program that I can. I'm going to jump on anything that I see where we can save money or we can make more government reimbursement. Knowing what I lost this year, I have to give you a budget that I feel comfortable with and work backwards from there and try to save the district as much as I can as your food service. And that's why the number is where it is, but the expectation is to way better than this, if I can.
And thank you for what you do.
Yeah.
This isn't a personal thing against you or whatever. It's a struggle that we're making sure we're.
So good. I would say if you didn't look at that number, then I question, you know, I mean, that's your job. I get it.
So that takes away sharing tables at the junior high school, correct?
Yeah.
Does that take that away at the elementary, or do you never do that at the elementary?
Depends on what we do, what we go with. At BIC, get the sharing tables. The other ones, no.
And at the grab and go, technically, it takes away sharing tables at each classroom at the junior high school.
Right.
We can have a table there that if somebody took the fruit they didn't want, you can do share tables even with grab and go. It's just be one share table versus every classroom in the library having a share table.
Right. So, trying to think of a nice way to say the problem that I worry about is like waste. So, even though I'm just going to be straight up honest, what it seems like is kids, especially up there, I'm not sure down here, but I have a lot more information from up there. Kids didn't necessarily take the breakfast. They did, I guess. Mark Down is taking it, and it goes on a sharing table. Then anybody can take it, but whatever's left over is just kind of, right? So it's kind of, I have a hard time seeing then how we decide how much all the time to put it. So it feels like there's a lot of waste. And from what I understand and from what I see, there is. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted it out of the classroom.
Can I answer that really quick? I don't think there is a lot of waste on our shared tables. In fact, I had multiple teachers say that they run out every day. Our library usually will have 3 or 4 teachers bring their shared table into the library, and it's always gone by the afternoon. Besides milk, I think milk doesn't always go over, but everything else usually is gone by the end of the day, is what teachers have told me.
Okay.
So I don't think there's a whole ton of waste.
Well, that's what we're trying to save on, right, though? So.
And there would be less with the grab and go because the student wouldn't be required to take that milk. They just had to get an entree and a fruit. So right now we're giving every child a whole cup of fruit because that's what the IC requires, and a milk. If we go to grab and go, they'll just be required to take the entree and half of the fruit. So the requirement on grab and go would be way less than what we were taking the BIC back.
That makes sense. And okay, apparently I'm wrong on the waste, except for the milk. But I'll take my kid, for example, because I know he does this. He goes to the sharing table, fills his pockets with whatever he can grab so that at lunch he doesn't have to have a lunch, and he doesn't want his mom to make him a lunch, and he eats what was ever on the sharing table for lunch, so he doesn't have to go to the cafeteria, so he doesn't have to do that, okay? So if the point is trying to get him to do more lunches or get a better meal, that doesn't work for a kid like mine who's like, hey, there's a sharing table. He goes, grabs a bunch of stuff, stuffs it in his pocket, so he doesn't have to go to the cafeteria at lunch. Which, with my kid, if he's eating something, it's like, okay, great, he's eating something, hooray.
Just to make sure we're clear, on grab and go, it is a different program, and only kids that are free don't pay. Everybody else, with all the other students, would have to pay for it. You don't just grab it and go. They have to grab it, pay and go.
I'm talking about what's previously been going on. I get what's going on now.
So the grab and go is not free for everyone.
Correct.
But if we stay with breakfast at VIC at the elementary, then everybody would be free there.
Correct.
But tell us the difference, the numbers of the breakfast and classroom that
At the elementary,
reimbursement elementary versus the high school.
it's a wash.
Because I know.
I can give you the short of it. It's a wash at the elementary.
Yeah.
We're saving money if we take it out of the junior high school.
Yeah, so the numbers are very different.
So yeah, at the high school, your free and reduced percent is 28%. So that means, 72% of every meal that I serve, and I serve a meal to every single student, I get 50 cents for. So I have to try to build a menu that I can break even getting 50 cents for 70% of every meal I hand out. If we go to grab and go, a paid kid will have a choice to pay for a meal, but there will be meals available to reduced and free kids that can come and will get their reimbursement. So we'll get more reimbursement because odds are leaning towards the paid kids won't take it, the opportunity of the system. The kids that are going to eat breakfast and grab and go are going to be reduced, and your free kids.
Or you're going to have more kids that should be quote unquote paying that will actually tell their parents, sign me up so I can get the free meal.
Exactly.
And that could happen, which would help our other numbers if that's what we're aiming for too.
So you're saying your free and reduced numbers at the elementary are way higher than high school?
Elementary, as of May, elementary is at 52%.
Is it because more people fill out the paperwork, or is it because more people qualify?
Hard to know.
It's hard to know. I would say more applications. I think a lot of the and it's not just Joseph City, a lot of the secondary schools all over the nation, these junior high school kids haven't had to pay for lunch for 3+ years. and mom and dad don't even remember that there's an application they have to fill out, and the kid's not bringing it home. I mean, they may be given it, but it's just a lack of the application being completed at the secondary level.
Well, I think too that naturally people who have younger children have lower incomes and they're younger and work more than parents who are parents of older kids. So I think that plays a part in it also.
If a parent has an elementary and high school, junior high kids, do they only fill out one and it goes to both places?
Fill out one application and let's both.
Okay, so we're not having any, the high school that we can cheat is, I guess.
You
what
fill
I'm-
out one application for your whole family.
Okay. And they share them back and forth?
Okay,
If they fill it out and turn it into the elementary, it also
Oh,
goes
yeah,
in
yeah.
there?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, they all go to.
I was just curious if that was part of it, they only fill it out for the elementary kids and not the high school kids, but that answers that question.
They all come to the district office and are interviewed either by Selena and determine whether they qualify for.
But a lot of, I guess it might not be a lot. Some are already automatically entered because they're on other government whatevers and they don't even fill out paperwork, correct?
There's something called direct certification that is done twice a year where Selena gives them a list of every student in your district, and they pull a report based off all federal government assistance and sends Selena a list of names that automatically qualify for free and reduced without having to fill out that.
Are we pretty vigilant with that?
She does a good job with that.
Okay.
so I just have, if it's a wash, what do we lose by taking it out of the classroom?
Meals, so fewer kids will eat.
So it's a wash to keep it in, versus that's what I'm not understanding. If it's a wash, money-wise, what are we losing by taking it out of the classroom and getting the food out of the classroom and having the teachers have
Nothing
all of
except
their own time in
we
there?
predict that fewer kids will eat. That's all. If you're okay with that, you can give the directive, or we can make that this whatever. Yeah,
There's some other things we gotta look at.
yeah, that's true. He's right.
No, where are they gonna pick it up? Sounds like the cafeteria. Where are they gonna eat? I've got some more notes on.
That's why we have a building there.
Okay, what do we do with students who arrive 5 minutes before the bell rings? What about 1 minute before the bell
Want
rings?
to go get something?
What if they're tardy?
But it's the
How
same.
much time,
What if they're tardy when the breakfast is in the classroom? They don't,
how much time
They're
do
there
we give them in the cafeteria before we say, hey, it's time to go to class? When do we end that? How many staff will I need to have in there? There's some things that we need to look at.
All those logistical things. He's right. It could change things a little bit. Not that we can't manage it. It would just change it.
we did breakfast in the cafeteria previously, and it was not a huge deal. So I know it can be done, and it takes the food out of the rooms, off the floors, out of the hallways.
It adjusted our bus times a little bit, just so you know.
That's right. We would have to have the buses pick up a little earlier.
Well, we go to school so much earlier than we did before.
But we get Fridays off too.
I know, but Fridays doesn't matter to breakfast at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Darylyn, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say, one of the problems that was expressed in the past with not having breakfast in the classroom was kids would come onto the playground and they wouldn't go in to eat. They would drop off at the playground, they'd go play, and they would forget to eat. They'd go to the classroom and they're hungry and, they didn't get that chance for breakfast. So if we were to take it out of the classroom, we would have to look at how we drop kids off. We would probably need to not have that outside recess before school. So the kids would, and maybe we have that bus lane where kids could be dropped off, the buses could drop off at the cafeteria where they would go straight into the cafeteria. We have a parking lot there, we could do parent drop off there so that the entrance to the school was through the cafeteria where they would be able to get a breakfast. Because it would be a problem if they went and played and then came in hungry. You know what I'm saying? That would be a problem. We need them to eat.
Yes, I see, okay, I can see that. My problem with that is, what we're saying is we have to force the kids to eat.
No.
That's what we're saying.
Well, and here's the educational part of that for me. Okay, the educational part of that is if they're dropped off there and they have that opportunity to get breakfast right there, and there's no outside recess, no in the gym recess, they go to their classroom. I could get my kids 15 to 20 minutes earlier in my classroom. I could do one-on-one instruction. I could do read, teach, and enrich. I could get them started on a STEM box or an enriching activity to start their day rather, I could use that time educationally rather than.
I asked Mr. Moser, how important do you think that early morning recess is to the students? Is it something they really like or what?
Well, they like it. It's a staging before school. Some kids come right when the bell rings. The buses arrive there. I don't know if all the teachers would want their students in the classroom at 8 o'clock.
Yeah. 8:10 is when the bell rings now. And it would be a change. It would be a total, but I'm just trying to think outside the box. How can we answer the needs of the kids, the needs, and the education needs? I'm going to be working either way. I'm going to be here, I'm going to be working either way. Right now, we use that as prep time. But, when it's cold and they have inside recess, then that they come to the classroom not as ready. When they can be outside and play, but something's got to give. So if we're going to do breakfast in the classroom and just continue like we have been, then we'll just continue as we have been. But if we're looking at alternatives, we give the cafeteria the opportunity to provide the most breakfast for the most kids, we have to make adjustments. Because they won't take it off the bus, they'll, like they've always done, they'll go play. I don't think that would work. Understand?
But we would need
I understand.
two teachers in the cafeteria instead of out on the playground. The halls would be crazy. It's something we have to look at.
Could you do a grab and go outside over there?
Not in the wintertime.
But in the wintertime, they're in the gym or whatever anyway, right?
So the problem I have with this is it sounds like we're assuming every kid is expecting breakfast at school. I don't think that's true.
I will tell you honestly, I have almost 100% participation in breakfast. I only have about half of my students this last year that they would bring their lunch, but almost every kid took breakfast. Not quite, but very high percent.
Even if I ate breakfast and lunch and dinner and whatever at my house, if there was more food, I would have taken it. Not because I needed it.
They do take it. Now, some of them need it, and how do you know which ones?
That's
my problem.
but in my thought, if I was hungry when I got to school and there was food and I knew where the food was, if I was legitimately hungry,
I'd go get it.
That's where I would go. I wouldn't go play with my friends.
If you had money.
But I also understand that
we're talking 5 and 6 year. We're talking younger kids, and they get distracted easily.
But how many times will they finally, after the first couple of days and they're hungry, they might remember that they need to do it?
The thing is, yes,
I'm gonna go.
Whatever.
I want to go back to my biggest concern. Is if we talk about our greatest resource that the school district has, they start their job at 7:30 in the morning, and they end it at 8 o'clock at night. Somewhere in the middle, they try and make time for the family, but they're starting at 7:30, getting their classroom ready. 8 o'clock at night, they're grading whatever they had the kids do throughout the day. I feel, as to protect and help our greatest resource, which are the teachers, if we can give them 15 minutes, we need to give them 15 minutes. That's why I'm opposed to breakfast in the classroom. If we can give them any extra time, especially when it comes time to,
they're not gonna have more time, because they'll be watching the kids.
but if they have 15 minutes more time teaching a kid as compared to feeding a kid, will their productivity as far as the kid go up, so then their stress level goes down, or something to that effect?
Let's ask the teachers. Caroline?
I will do whatever I need to do. It just worked out coincidentally. The year I finished my master's was the year we started our breakfast. So I thought, oh, I got my master's degree, so I could be the lunch lady. So it was, the first year it was a little hard, you know, but I can see, you know, it's worked into my routine. But I do spend time before the kids come in every morning, putting paper towels down, preparing cloth, teaching, and it's a lot at the beginning of the year, teaching them routines for teachers to take care of breakfast in the classroom, so that I don't end up with milk spills and messes all over my classroom. I teach them to pick up their crumbs, and I mean, it's a teaching thing for sure. That, and it takes, at the beginning of the year, my goal is to have them finished by 8:30. They come in at and after. They take a good 20 minutes. At the beginning of the year, it usually takes a little longer than that, which cuts into my reading instruction time. It does. It does. But, you know, I know they need to eat too. So, I mean, I'm trying to think outside the box, and I knew that this was, I've been trying to think of how can we make this work? How can we make it, kids get this, we get that? I would rather have my kids ready to go early and that extra teaching time. I would. Maybe not every teacher would. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody.
Well, what difference do you see if it was taken out of the classroom? If it was taken out of the classroom, it's not in recess. It's breakfast before, you know, so they get the buses drop off at 10 till 8. They have from 10 till 8 till a quarter after, at least. You know, they have 25 minutes there to eat breakfast. And then I would get them at 8:15, 8:10 to 8:15, or even earlier, 8 o'clock, anytime in there. Then that would save me 15 to 20 minutes of time in my classroom that I could devote to reading. And, you know, we've got a new curriculum that, thank you very much, by the way. We've got a new curriculum for reading. It takes an hour for core knowledge. It takes an hour for the skills instruction. We still need to teach math. You know, there's a lot of teaching, and you can't go faster than kids can learn.
But if you run them through the cafeteria, only roughly 50% of them are free. The rest of them would have to pay and may not have the money to pay. So what do you do with those kids?
So
But they can get billed, right?
Yeah, we're not gonna take away recess in the morning. I don't see that happening.
Well, they can eat and then get out,
Those that don't eat, they'll be outside or in the gym.
but they can eat.
We can't force them to eat if they have to pay for it.
They need that.
Well, I understand you
Cafeteria.
can't force them to eat anything. Even if they take it, they don't have to eat it.
The time it takes to do breakfast in the classroom, the older the kids get, it gets a lot faster.
It is a lot.
In the high school, it's super quick if you do it right. It could just be a minute or two of your time, and they eat while they start their bell work. You know, so it gets easier as it goes as well. One question I have: how much money in grants a year would you estimate are based off free and reduced lunch?
Hundreds of thousands.
So we'll introduce government economics here. I know we're spending a lot of time about the 50,000, but
So we're not really talking about not doing it right now, or at least I'm not. I'm talking about getting it out of our classroom.
and that's
I think
fine.
is the big. I get the economics.
I mean, I know last time it was voted down, but I mean, I know we're paying it, but we're gaining a lot more than what we pay for that for sure.
And people still have to fill out the paperwork, whether we have a cafeteria or not. I mean, it's kind of the same way.
That's the reason.
Well, that's our problem now, is they won't.
But could you imagine if they don't have a lunch? They definitely won't, because it does nothing for them.
But if they had to pay at the elementary and the high school both, because it's not in the classroom and they're not getting it for free, there's probably some more people likely to fill it out.
Yeah, I'm talking about getting rid of the food program in general.
Well, from my understanding, we can't. So
It's hard to speculate how many people aren't filling out the form. I don't know if we do that. I wouldn't speculate on that.
well, I understand that.
I have one thing. I feel like I've opened a can of worms, and I'm sorry about that. But the one thing that Steve just said is critical. If they're not doing it in the classroom, then the kids that are not being reduced would have to pay. And the culture at the elementary school has become that they all get it, and they all do eat it. There's very few that don't. I've had several students that have never taken it, over the years. So that's the other part of it, though, is, and it is harder for me than it is for most teachers. I would do that. It's hard. So, and I try to do all work, but with first graders and a note on their desk, they are not able to manage that.
Yeah, definitely easier at the high school.
That's really hard to imagine.
Picture that, right? My class situation is unique. I will say that. I mean, that's just maybe kindergarten first. It gets much better. But by the end of the year, my kids are much more well trained and they can do it much quicker, and we're getting on with things better. So it is doable.
Change sometime is a good thing. We had to figure out how to do it in the classroom. There's no reason why we can't figure out how to do it out of the classroom again. And it gives some time back to our teachers, in my opinion, and it takes care of a few other things. Yes, you might have to do some other things. Go ahead.
Can I say something?
Sure.
In my role as special ed coordinator, I did talk to our teachers and aides, and for the students that we serve, breakfast in the classroom, especially at the elementary, is a godsend. And it, from what I've heard in the meeting, it's not going to make a difference financially, and we can change it if we decide to during the contract year. So I would, as a special ed coordinator, suggest that the board accept breakfast in the classroom for the elementary for the time being.
Does it have to be breakfast in the classroom to be free for everybody? If they ate it at the cafeteria,
John, that's
that
a good
takes that
question.
away.
Yes, but John, are there other options for like first grade and kindergarten? Like hypothetically, I don't know if this would be good, but can they take their whole class to the cafeteria
Yeah, I have.
if that was quicker for her or something?
Yeah, the problem is currently your cafeteria couldn't hold the whole school. So if there were certain classes that you wanted to have them do it in the cafeteria, that's totally doable. It's just, like I said, the reason we have 2 lunches is they don't all fit in that building all at one time.
I will just say, it would be much quicker to do it in the classroom than to take them, to get them in the building.
Line up.
Because while they're eating breakfast, I'm not wasting that time. I'm picking roll, we're doing the calendar, we're doing things. We are doing things. Because I make the best of it that I can.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So at the end of the day, it's a matter of meals. I've pulled up meals from 2016. The last year had regular breakfast. And in 2016, as a district, between the 2 campuses, you served 10,000 breakfasts between both campuses combined. But at this last school year at the elementary school, we served almost 20,000 at the elementary school alone. So that's just to put it in perspective. We just the elementary doubled what you were doing in 2016.
So, the board options, once again, you can make a decision for us. You can let us try some things, administration, and change it. The actual item is just to approve the food service, unless you want to say we did, as a board, the motion is, we don't want this or we don't want that or whatever. But it shouldn't change the economics if it does either way with the elementary. You know what I'm saying? So you can let us try something and then try something else. If you make a motion saying we won't do BIC at the elementary all year long, then we'll have to stick to that. Whatever.
Why don't we try the grab and go, the high school and junior high?
I think that was already planned.
Yeah.
To do that, correct?
Yeah.
And me personally still, But if it's a wash financially, we gain other things by not having it in the classroom. The teachers gain more teaching time. We are an institution here to teach kids. That's our job. To make sure our kids get the best education that they can get. So if we can help with getting them a better education by getting the breakfast out of the classroom, I think that's a good idea. We're not saying we're taking breakfasts away from people that need it. They still have the opportunity to go get it. And I say let's figure out a way so they can go get it without having to have it in the classroom.
Just one thing for the record, and I don't disagree with anything you just said, but so, you know, people that don't, what has happened in the past, and we've heard about it, we know about it as administrators, teachers will pay for food for kids. Maybe somebody doesn't qualify, or the family doesn't want to fill out the form, whatever, but they end up paying for it. So that is one thing I should bring out here and let you know. So sometimes this does actually cost teachers some, unfortunately, because, you know, whatever reason. And this is a benefit that isn't necessarily for the free and reduced kids. They're going to be able to eat anyway. This is a benefit for those that maybe middle class that sometimes get overlooked in our systems, you know. But so they would have to pay. But that's okay. But I just want to make sure that we all know that.
Well, it's the same boat at lunch, though, because at lunch, not everybody gets it free.
Right. Same boat.
So. Sure. Please.
I honestly feel like every kid, I did not realize that they could not, I thought if we just moved breakfast in the classroom, cafeteria, every kid could go get it. Knowing that every kid does not have the opportunity to get a breakfast that way, I really feel like we've got a lot of parents who are working hard, like they're trying to get kids off to school, get to their jobs, manage all that. And I think that's why my numbers for breakfast in the classroom have been so high. I think that it is important for them to have breakfast, and if it's either breakfast in the classroom or only a few get it, I'd rather see breakfast in the classroom, honestly. I just feel like it really, the kids do eat. We don't have lots of people, even my little state, there's not a lot of places. There are some things they never eat the raisins. I'll just tell you right now, they don't eat the raisins. There's some things they're just not going to eat, but they just don't want to try and eat it. So there is, but I would personally rather, having done it for all these years already, I'd rather just keep going the way we're going than to not have a kid not. That's fine.
That brings up a good point. Are we giving as the teachers, the administration, feedback to the people providing, getting whatever the food, hey, this isn't ever eaten, and we take that away?
Well, some of the older kids eat it, so they do the best they can. And there's a variety. They don't get raisins every day. I mean, there's a variety. But I'll have, I have a place where I don't have like a shared table per se, but I save the snacks. When there's enough for everybody in the class to have one to take home for an after-school snack, we straws, and they get to pick their favorite snack. And raisins never go. But sometimes the older kids, my reading help us, and they'll say, hey, can I have some of your raisins? Or hey, can I have? So, yeah.
I just think we need to look at ways to manage this better, and this is a starting point to do it. And I think we need to keep looking at it.
Other than the raisins, there's not a lot. I mean, that is first grade. I don't know.
That's correct.
And the raisins are free. Federal government.
I had a box of them last week, and I like.
They're good. I eat them once in a while, and I'm like, hey, the kids aren't eating them. I'm not.
And I'm paying for them.
Well, I understand there's way more to it than any of us individually see.
I hate raisins. I wouldn't buy a raisin if I had.
I like raisins.
I just think that I've thought about this, and I thought about my mom raised 6 kids. We got on the bus at 7 o'clock every morning, and we all had a healthy meal. But that kind of lifestyle is not as normal as it used to be. And You know, my mom didn't have to be running a register at Love's at 6 a.m. You know, and there's a lot of kids that are in situations like that here, and we need to remember that. And that's where the need is. And parenting is different, families are different, the economy is different, and home life is different for a lot of these kids than what we all grew up with and what we all understand. And we need to remember that when we make our decisions.
Okay, thanks. That's true. But I still think we can get them food in the cafeteria instead of in the classroom. I mean, if that means we have to get them to school earlier, they obviously don't have to be at home to eat breakfast. If they're not eating breakfast, they can come to school earlier and get breakfast, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about, is the bus would have to pick them up earlier if we don't have breakfast in the classroom, correct?
We may have to adjust the bus time.
Also, our Winslow and Holbrook kids are leaving their homes. Maybe they get a hot breakfast at 6 a.m. and at 8 a.m., but by 11:30, they're famished. Their blood sugar is probably dropping in the middle of their instruction time.
Well, half the meal they get are so shot up in blood that or sugar, it messes up that.
But we can work on that.
Okay, I will say.
Well, you can't expect to pay less for food and get higher quality food. That just doesn't work. The cheaper food is, the less nutritious it is. So we have to remember that also.
And I believe that that learning takes place when your needs are met. I mean, we pay for our rooms to be heated. We pay for air conditioning. We pay for nice facilities. We pay custodians to keep our rooms safe and clean. And learning takes place when children have their needs met. And unfortunately, in our world today, some children don't have those needs met before. And I was raised by a mother that always gave us a hot breakfast every morning, but I'm one of the very few. And that was 60 years ago.
I definitely think I don't think we can treat the elementary the same way that we do the high school. The needs are different. So what works for one is, I think, not going to be what works for the other. But
We
have a motion out there.
there is a motion to leave breakfast in the classroom at the elementary. That's the motion, correct?
Yeah, the motion is to approve
But
the
that,
new contract.
which is
What it
breakfast in
and
the
what they're saying,
classroom at
part
the
of that
elementary.
is, breakfast.
But not at the high school.
With the option to change it around as we see needs or data is altered,
So could we approve this and revisit it October and see if we want, how breakfast in the classroom at the elementary is going, if we want to change that, if it's not going well out of the classroom at the high school?
Absolutely. So you can do that, or you can allow us to revisit it as administration. Either way.
I would like to know how it's working.
So,
Whether we make the decision or whatever, I would like to know how it's working and what needs to be, because I think it does need to be adjusted and probably needs to be adjusted again.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to fix some of those issues at the first grade level in the classroom. Probably going to still be there.
I still want my job.
But whatever you guys want to do, we can do that, definitely. The answer is yes.
Okay, so remember, Andrew, go ahead.
Before you go to vote, I got one more question. Steve, if you can go on that little point on this, the little contract on page 6 of the 10, I got a question for you on one of those items. I don't know if you want to bring it up.
What's it look like?
It says advertising, promotion, and menus, $8,000. That's 80,000 menus if they're 10 cents a piece.
John,
That,
do you want to see the contract, John?
that is including the, and then it's totally, up to you guys. That is including, NutriSlice, which the parents can go on an app and look at, the menus. That's just certain technology that it's the POS, it's what we use to write our menus and make sure they balance. It's not necessarily printed menus. It's computer software used to help.
It's to create the menus and it calculates all the nutritional values and it puts those on our website for parents to look
Well,
at.
the website hasn't been done for months. Trust me. I'm the anti-food dude. I've been checking it. And even when it was done, it did not match the text my child gave me of what was actually in the box.
No, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, Heber's a small district, they choose not to have NutriSlice, and it saves them, I think it's like $3,200 or something. So, I mean, that, it's just, and we'd have to basically we'd have to create take-home menus, and we'd have to make copies of them.
Don't they have that at the elementary?
We do get.
So.
Well, it's on the website too, isn't it, or it's supposed to be?
It's not.
It's supposed to be.
I know, but it's not.
If it's not working, somebody tell me. I need to know that because I need
Do
to.
we know, John,
not
how
working.
many people?
Well, it won't in the summer. There won't be anything up there now.
It wasn't working.
I probably can get that information. I can probably get on and see how many people in Joseph City have the app downloaded.
I got a feeling maybe not a lot.
Okay.
What I'm thinking, I don't know.
I just don't think that's very necessary.
That's what I'm thinking.
No, and I like that Heber chooses not to participate in that portion of it, if they save them some money, and I can talk to I mean, it's not a have to, definitely not a have to.
We definitely want to do whatever they're doing.
Even play after the rest gone.
So,
So
but,
that would save 3,000,
I would say
then there's still 5,000 in there for,
that, the decent amount for the menu planning process,
okay, then there's 4,000.
which you need to be able to pass audits. And I mean, the reason we had a perfect audit, in May was because the computer system we used to balance our menus. And if we didn't have that computer system, then we would essentially have fiscal findings where they took money away from the district because the meals being served weren't balanced.
So then the rest of that would be more of an administrative cost
Yeah.
than a menu cost.
Yeah, they just lump it in that thing, that there's no other place to put it, that's just something they lump in there.
Okay, I just saw 80,000 copies, and that's a lot of papers for the kids to take home.
You know, I have no issues with, you know, I mean, I totally get it, I totally understand.
So if we just save about 3,000 there, where else are we going, man? We're making money today.
I will, like I said, I will do my due diligence to make sure that you guys are, I mean, if it's something I need, it's in there. I don't put those, unfortunately, that document you're looking at, I don't put together. So until you remind me about it, I forget that it's there, because it goes into everybody's account. So I will double check and look through those documents one more time, and get them to make the adjustment as necessary, but yeah, I can get NutriSlice to go way fast.
I think that's probably a good idea.
I think so.
What?
I mean,
So
the only person that might use it would be the school nurse.
So will that take it away from the internet?
That would take it away from the internet. They all have to be.
We do have people that look at that for their kids, you know, especially if they've got
Who
allergies.
posted on the school website then?
Well, it's supposed to link automatically. If the link breaks, then we
Well,
need
it's been broken.
to fix that. But the other thing is like you say, it helps us to not lose money on getting docked on our audits.
But there's another program for that, right?
That's not, yeah, NutriSlice doesn't have anything to do with that.
Oh.
NutriSlice is just a way to advertise menus
It's gonna be me
to
typing.
parents on an app, on website, that's what NutriSlice.
That'll save money.
So we could propose, we throw out NutriSlice, whatever you call it, Nutrisystem, whatever it is. And throw that out as part of this deal.
I can do that.
Just, I would like to look at the impact, and I hate to do that on a 3-minute notice here. I'd like to look at the impact of that before we.
I would say let's do the reverse. Let's pull it out and see if anybody throws a fit at the beginning of
But
the
if you take action to do it, then I have to. I mean, I can't put it back in.
You can't put it back in?
Not without your approval.
But if we were to say in
If you're gonna
November,
get down to that granular level on every line on this contract, that makes it a little tough. Before we pull that, and I'm all about saving money, believe me, but we don't know what all the impact is on a moment's notice and like this.
They send home paper menus. It's on my fridge.
We don't send them home for the high schools, do we?
it's not on a,
I don't think we send home, we don't. No, we haven't.
My kids and my wife have looked on my fridge every week, the whole year. Last year, I had an elementary kid to see what the menu was.
can we take an elementary menu to the high school and we're taking care of?
That's in the bulletin. That's.
I'm not currently making that paper menu, John. I don't know if they're printing it out of, because you can print one out of NutraSlice. So the one that's on your fridge maybe is
Out of
copy
NutraSlice.
out of NutraSlice.
Nope.
Because it has other school things on it, not just NutraSlice, correct?
Yeah, so, whatever.
Yeah, I have nothing to do with wherever that's.
I think that's probably a NutraSlice calendar. Somebody's printing it out. Who else would print out? I mean, how would we print out the menus?
I don't know.
Nobody's doing that.
I'm just telling you, my wife is not printing it out. I know that, and neither is my kids. But they're getting it from somewhere.
Probably a NutraSlice program.
Does it just have the food lunches or does it have other school things on that same calendar?
I think it just has the food.
How hard is it to make a cafeteria food calendar?
You gotta pay someone to do it. So it's either you pay NutraSlice or you pay somebody else.
Will be me doing it.
The high school won't have it.
Thanks for your honesty, Eric.
We'll just post it up. The kids don't take it home to their parents most of the time anyway, so.
One thing I really want to compliment John and his staff for, they are very accommodating for allergies. I had a student last year that has gluten allergy, and if that cannot have gluten, they have accommodated tremendously for that student and have made sure that that child has the food that was safe for them to eat, and for my own grandchildren as well. So they really are very good to work with them on things like that.
They're doing it during summer school.
Summer students, yeah. Yeah.
Are you allowed to say, I will vote no if it's, just so FYI, I'll vote no if we have NutraSlice in there and if it's in the classroom. We gotta at least try 9 weeks of it out of the classroom is what I would say. If it's not, then I'm gonna vote no. So go for the vote.
So the vote is to approve the contract, okay? That's what it was, that's what the motion was. So we would have to change a motion if we're gonna change, all we're doing, correct me if I'm wrong, but the motion was to approve the renewal of food service management contract with Southwest Food Service Excellence. So we're just, what's up for the vote is to approve the renewal of the contract. What all the whole rest of this discussion has been is how they're going to operate the contract. So we're approving the contract, and it sounds like we can make requests of how this contract is operated or not. Right now, it's an understanding that the contract is going to, how we're going to operate is the high school is going to be grab and go, elementary is going to be in the classroom, even though a couple of us would like to try it out of the classroom. Correct?
If we approve it, can we still make adjustments as we go? So,
That's what we're being.
Would it be on the actual agenda next to talk more about the details? I don't want to talk about this again, but a lot of times we approve things and then the next month comes around and we all forgot what we approved the month before. And we never revisit it and it's all.
So can you have us a number of how many people are using that app at the next board meeting, and we'll either approve or
summertime.
Nobody's using it right now.
You should be able to look up the history.
that have used
Oh, yeah,
it,
the history.
that are,
I think it has that technology.
I don't know.
I know you can look at what states have used it, and I mean, it's got all kinds of fun reports. I just have to try to remember how to run them.
Well, and I want to,
Without it, how do they
operate, their food service director, IDP, makes a paper menu
Contract is basically,
that you sent home to,
because of this, we're saving money by doing the grab go.
put them on.
Can it just be posted on the,
Posted on their.
Online,
posted
it's posted online. And that, I think that's where, when you get a menu, it's printed from that. And the other thing too is that the advantage, and you may find value in this and you may not, but you get all the allergy alerts, you get the nutritional information, and can look, and I look at that, and I, anyway, so you would lose that if you don't have, we can live without it, but that's what you would lose.
I honestly don't think the average person would look at that.
I've had people tell me they do.
I know people do, but I'm talking about the average person is not doing that. I honestly believe that. Because I'm a very health conscious person and I wouldn't look at it. And I know the kids aren't.
Well, and
You can get us some data, however you want to word that, you can get us some data to bring it back, and can we ask you to change that at a later time?
Yeah, at a later time, yeah, that's totally fine.
If we,
It doesn't get charged, I think IntraSight doesn't hit the district's charge until, I think the renewal of it is like October. So I would just tell SFD not to charge you the amount that is set for Joseph City.
and you'll let us make that decision once you get us some numbers?
Once I get you the numbers, you guys make that decision, and like I said, it's not like that $3,000 hits July 1st of the contract. It doesn't renew until like October, so we can have time to decide if that's something that's beneficial to your district or not.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And here's just a little side note, Steve. Our job as a board is to make the best decision that we can make for our whole community.
No, and
Just let me finish. Not for, there's 4 or 5 kids over here. And Show City does a really good job of this. We have classes that have, at the high school, 3 or 4 kids in it. And we're paying teachers to teach them. We do the best that we can to get as much diversity out there for our kids. And they have a ton of choices. They have way more choices than I ever had going to school here when I went to school.
yeah, and
So I'm just saying, it's our job as a group to think of the group. What's best for the big majority? Okay, yes, we have to, there are concerns about other smaller things, but as a board, we really have to do that. We have to go, what is best for the majority, the big group? And yeah, there's other small things out there, but that's part of the stuff that goes through our mind, is what is best for the whole school district and the community as a whole.
Yeah, and I'm fine.
That's where we're thinking.
I'm fine with or without NutriSelect. I just want to have an opportunity to look at the impact of it, because if we've got somebody who has to now type up the menu every month, and we have to, print it out for everybody, then that may be fine. I just want an opportunity to look at that.
But we can reserve the decision for the board at the either August or September board meeting, something like that, in the motion.
Yeah.
If you're good with that.
I think the motion can stay as it is. We approve it because we're just approving the contract. It sounds like we can make changes as we find out information as we need to.
we can still look at breakfast in the classroom at the elementary, even if we approve this as this, and see where, and now that is one thing that I would like to do. And I know it's summer, the teachers aren't there, but I think that there needs to be some serious looking at, would it be beneficial to not do breakfast in the classroom at the elementary too?
Well, we take it serious, no doubt about it. I've talked with Daryl at length, and so.
And it's not just a money.
Right.
Because we hear that it's a wash.
It is now.
There's other.
Because we're paying for those people that don't qualify to get lunches, it's like the benefit to the middle class more.
Right.
So that's what it is.
No, I mean, as far as like the cost to the school.
Right.
Okay, that's, if it's a wash, it's a wash. And I'm actually along with Kat on this. I'm willing I'm gonna put this out there publicly. I would actually be willing, if we had more, if the breakfast was more of a nutritional, I mean, what we've been having to me is, and we're losing money on it. I would rather lose a little more money with a much better breakfast.
Yeah,
That's me personally. Okay, if I'm gonna spend money on something and I'm gonna help kids out, then let's give them something that's worthwhile. Instead of, okay, we're gonna shrink it down and we're gonna give you something in a plastic bag and sealed thing and that's it. So that's where I'm at.
One of the teachers took a student at the high school, and they, for their science fair project, did a breakdown of a school breakfast in the classroom and measured the sugar content and everything. And you all would be amazed at the amount of sugar that was in breakfast in the classroom. And I do have a problem with that. But, like I said before, if we're trying to save money, we're not going to get healthier food. Because the cheaper the food, the less nutritious it is. Go to the grocery store. It's just what it is.
And I mainly just wanted to see change. I thought we needed to get something changed and get it out there that, hey, this is a serious.
Well, and I think too, we have to remember that we can't do everything. And we can't meet every single need. We just can't. And to expect it to happen, I think, is unrealistic. And we can give relief, we can give aid, help where it's needed, but we can't do everything. It's just not realistic.
Can we get more information next month about the breakfast in the classroom at the elementary?
Like, what do you want?
I mean, in terms of what would you like, I mean,
Options to not have it in the
Yeah.
classroom.
What are the pros and cons to it being in the cafeteria as opposed to somewhere else? If we're told we're not gonna do it in the classroom anymore, what's our plan to take care of it?
I can definitely get that for you. I mean,
That sounds like something for Daryl too.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's something we and Daryl have both talked about, and I mean, I know what makes it easier, a bit more difficult on the food service side, and he probably knows what makes it.
And there's two sides to it.
Yeah. So, and I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, today, you're voting to renew the contract. All this stuff we're talking about, we can talk about it more.
Sounds like you're willing to work with us on
Yeah,
it.
at
Okay.
the end of the day, if you don't vote this contract through, I go away, you're handed food service to the district starting July 1st in your own hand.
Right.
And starting from scratch. So I think working with, as a team to get things better from where they are now, sounds a lot easier to me than starting from scratch with a program that you haven't, that we've been running for the last 9 years.
Gotcha. Okay, can we vote? You guys ready? So we're voting on renewing the contract.
We're still looking at.
Now,
the other
Dayton had a question, and he's right, and I want to make sure that that we get a good, well, no, I'll ask it for you, because I would like to know too. So we voted down one last month. We said no to the contract. So technically, for us to be able to say yes to this, it has to be different.
Mhm.
Which is why we brought it to the board, which is why when I made the agenda,
Mhm.
we said it was different. So it's a different contract than it was last time. So just to be clear, we're not voting on the same one that we voted on last month. This is different.
Yeah.
So we vote yes on the contract. If we do, then we still can get creative and
Negotiate
try things.
with
and
Nutri-Slice
tweak it.
And,
So,
yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to be clear on that. Dayton, you get to be first.
yes.
Kat?
yes.
Andrew?
Nope. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thanks for all of the good discussion. I appreciate that. I actually enjoy it when we get to do some discussion.
So we'll,
Moving on.
Later.
We're moving on.
It's later.
Okay, that brings us to 5F. recruiting and retention incentives. I'll make a motion that we approve bus driver recruiting and retention incentives as presented.
I'll second. Okay, this is just an effort that we're making to try and get some bus drivers. We're having a hard time getting some. So I think this might help.
How many bus drivers do we need?
Well, the
What's ideal?
issue is like we need some part-time ones, more than full-time ones. But, so we need at least one more part-time and probably 2 more part-time.
So this pays the same whether it's part-time or full-time?
Yes. If they'll go through the training, they don't get the money until they go through the training.
Do you have the thing that you can bring up?
I'm sorry.
Because I can't find it on mine.
The item. Right there.
Yeah, it's up there.
That's it. That's all we got.
Oh, you can't give us the money?
Well, it's $1,500 for
Oh, you
the
just put
signing
it in?
bonus.
Yeah, it's hard to read on there, isn't it?
1,500 and then 500 if you recruit someone. If there's a driver, somebody gets hired and they say, "Hey, this person is the one that recruited me," and they'll sign off saying that person will get the.
Can other personnel recruit bus drivers, or just the bus drivers can recruit? bus
Anybody could recruit
Any,
drivers.
yeah, the
Preschool employee, you can't.
I'm well aware of that. So I could, I just won't get the,
Did you discuss what I don't see on here what we discussed in the agenda when we were setting it up.
Like
It's just the 15?
just the 15 for the new ones. We're still maybe looking at a raise for the existing drivers, but we're not ready for that.
Okay.
So it would match this,
Yes.
but not at this meeting, maybe. Next.
Okay, but we're not going to forget that.
No,
Okay. Please don't forget that.
do we need, if I was a bus driver and you were giving incentives to new bus drivers, I would feel kind of
That's
shaky
what he's
if I
talking
wasn't
about.
getting mine at the same
That's
time.
what I'm talking about.
Do we want to wait and do them both
I
at
do,
the same
yeah.
time?
Well, no, not both at the same time. I want to do this one now so we can recruit. And
Okay.
then,
So how long does it take to get the training through?
good question. It depends on their availability, but
60 hours or something
So
like
two
that.
hours
weeks?
now.
But it depends on how much time you are able to devote to
Well,
it.
I have a brother that manages a trucking company, and they're having a big problem with hiring truck drivers who work for the bonus and then go to the next one for the bonus and the next one for the bonus, and they're only hitting 30 days, 2 or 3 paychecks, and then they're gone.
Yeah, we talked about that.
So would a
Yeah,
3-month or a 6-month thing actually also be beneficial? A day limit, and the other one? Because I mean, if I could come in here and get $1,500, work out hard at my training 2-3 weeks, and say, let's go see what Winslow can do for me.
yeah, that's.
Something to think about.
That's a risk you're running, no doubt.
That's definitely one of the problems they're having with Jason and Rim's.
The timeline, you gotta stay for,
It could be any way. It's a work agreement. We don't, the other side of that, it could go either way. But the other side of that is we've shown a little bit of faith in them that, we're not, and the employee that we're not thinking they're going to, run out. What was the term? Eldon and I talked about this a little bit, but, we're not, we're showing trust in them and things like that by giving them thing up front.
do we, just out of curiosity, do we have very many, if any, that we work to get them their CDL, and then as soon as we get them their CDL, they're gone?
Yeah, I thought about that. I don't think so. That's another reason I thought it was a low risk if we paid them up front. But it doesn't mean it couldn't happen. But we don't see it a lot. I can't think of a time.
I wonder if we need to look at after 3 months or something like that.
A standard probationary period is 90 days on a job. I believe the guy who works for himself said.
Well, but there's the other side of the coin too, just to throw a monkey in the wrench. If you hire a guy and you give him his $1,500, and then for some reason you don't like the way they drive, and so you get rid of them, it's not like you can take the $1,500 back once you do this, correct? So I mean, it's kind of a two-way street here.
Yeah.
When we hire somebody, we want to have them to have, I mean, we're having faith that they're going to come to work, and they're having faith that we're going to keep them at work. So it's kind of a two-way street there. And I get the whole, yeah.
Well, we can
I have
try, and if
more
it doesn't
faith.
work,
I try to have faith in people.
I
a lot.
I think it was not as high.
and it's something we can look at and see if they are just playing the rotation
Yeah,
game.
and how many people are we talking? It's not like we are having this giant fleet of bus drivers.
The other thing is,
That's the problem. We don't.
Yeah, so it's like,
what about 750 at 2 weeks and then 750 at 90 days?
Do that.
You know, he kind of had a thing for that at the start. I can't remember what it was. And I was like, I think if we're going to give it to him, let's just give it to him. So that was mine, bringing the 1,500 when we were doing the
As
agenda.
a guy that's hired a lot of guys and bought a lot of tools, I have bought a lot of tools to help guys get started, and then somebody walks down the road and says, hey, I'll pay you more. And they bail. That's, from personal experiences, that's my
well,
deal.
that's just life. I mean, you can't.
It is, but we beat that poor guy up over a couple grand.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it.
Trust your judgment.
You guys will still see anyone we hire, so we can follow up, you know.
If it becomes an issue, then.
Yeah, I
can
think
always
it's something
change
we
it.
look at.
We can always
And if we
change
have
it.
a bunch of them, then maybe we do need to go to the 750 and 750, or,
Then we'll have a reason to do it.
yeah.
Any other questions? Kat, you give me first.
Yeah.
Andrew?
Give it a shot.
Okay.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Dayton, thank you. This has been one of the more interesting ones. Okay. Hey, request for future agenda items. 6A. Do we have any requests for future agenda items?
Yes. What it's gonna look like at the elementary, and what the NutraSuite or whatever thing is.
Slice, Nutri-Slice, holy cow.
Sweet system.
Breeds don't even make NutraSweet anymore, do they?
I don't have any idea.
It probably causes cancer or something.
Yeah. They don't even
Any other requests for future agenda items?
And the rest of the school bus driver thing for the next meeting, will that be ready?
Maybe. Could be July. I mean, if we want it by July, but, yeah, we wanted to get some things organized out there, transportation first, see who's, you know, coming back for sure and everything. But yeah, it could be July or August. We don't want to forget about that. We talked at length with the transportation guy too.
If they quit and come back in 30 days, they get the money again?
Oh,
Sorry, I couldn't resist that one.
We'll fight them on that.
What about driving teachers?
The full-time ones work for us. Sometimes they take leave, a lot of them in June, and then they do some paintings, furniture assembly. They do some field trips and runs like that.
They also do bus maintenance, oil changes, and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Can we move on then to the upcoming meetings and events calendar?
We have this ASBA, we gotta get the registration for if anyone's gonna go to it, September 6th. I guess the registration. I don't know if any of you already know.
Hasn't opened yet, but it will open before July's meeting.
If you could let Julie know as soon as you find out if you're gonna do it, it will help us.
I can't even tell you what my schedule is for next meeting.
What is the
September.
annual law conference?
That's a good one. It's the one I would recommend if you go to any. They go over policies, any changes to the laws that would affect school policy that we'll have to change.
Laws that are coming up, changes and
Is this
stuff.
one in Flagstaff?
No, where is
Or
it?
is this in Phoenix?
Yeah.
There's no new laws, they're all getting vetoed.
Similar to the thing in December?
Same format, where you have the breakout sessions and a general session. It's just more focused on legal issues.
hot topics, legislative acts, like all those things that you see about on the news, definitely be fine.
I've gone to a couple of them. You can have a lot more hot discussions in the breakout session.
They'll scare board members to death.
Yeah, they do.
Something that and usually right before it happens, some schools just got in a whole bunch of trouble for one of the laws that they're talking about.
And you just hope Joe City isn't one of them, right?
Better not be. Okay, so the next regular board meeting is July 11th. And that brings us to adjournment. I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
But it's time for the VR goggles, don't forget. Mr. Mosier, the floor is yours.
So we're not.
I mean,
Somebody else,
we did all this work.
somebody else to second it.
Dayton?
Dayton seconded it.
Yeah.
I say yes, Dayton.
Yes.
Cat. Andrew. And you already said yes. Okay.